Today I fucked up by being excited for a job offer. I've been in a rut this year with my current job in education ASD/behaviors. There's been a lot of bureaucracy with upper level decision making that has resulted in constant staff out. I applied last week for a better position somewhere else. I get an interview for an amazing new job, better pay, more autonomy, the works. I crushed the interview with their team of people. It went as well as it could. All of my answers were thoughtful and poignant. He responded with lots of positive body language, smiles and head nods. At the end of the interview, the top guy walked me out to the door, stopped me and shook my hand. As he was shaking my hand, he told me how impressed they all were with me and said, "I'm going to tell the administration that I want you." Overwhelmed with excitement and surprise, I looked him right in the eyes and blurred out, "I want you too." TL doctor, offered job. Hit on new boss. Update, I have to wait for the administration to process the paperwork and officially offer me the job, but it's pretty much a lock. Oh and yes, Up is a large, bearded, tattooed man. Update again, as sweet as it is, don't give me gold. Instead donate a toy to a local charity that gives them to needy kids this holiday. I hope he took it with humor and for nervousness and that you still get the job. I did something similar a while ago. I was in my early 20s and felt pretty confident going for an interview at a bank in London. The interviewer was a pretty blonde, maybe slightly older than me, who was really friendly and enthusiastic. She touched my leg a couple of times during the interview and I thought she was flirting. She walked me out of the building towards the reception and casually asked, "What are you doing now?" I answered, "I'm just heading around the corner to meet some friends for drinks." She said, "That's nice, but can you remind me what kind of role you're currently working in?" That's rough. New job and a date. Congrats. I guess casting couch was comfy. Today I fucked up by saying FFS Karen in front of my 7-year-old son. So I was out walking with my 7-year-old son this morning for our daily exercise when we passed this woman shouting at 3 teenagers on bikes outside her house. They were all a good 2 meters apart, but she was still yelling at them that they shouldn't be out and to go home. As we're passing, I say, "For fuck's sake, Karen, ease off. At this rate the heart attack will get you before COVID does." And then carried on walking. Get back home and my wife is in the kitchen with our 11-year-old and 14-year-old. My youngest walks up to her and asks for an ice cream. My wife says, "Sorry sweetie, we don't have any ice cream." So, what does my son say? Yep, he says, "Oh, for fuck's sake, Karen." Then wanders off to his bedroom to play, leaving my wife standing open-mouthed. I'm trying my absolute hardest not to laugh when my wife finally manages to speak. "Karen?" she asks. She doesn't spend a lot of time online, so hasn't come across this before. I'm a bit surprised that she's focusing on this rather than the curse word, but anyway, before I can speak, my 11-year-old daughter chips in with, "Oh, that means you're someone really nice." She was clearly just trying to be helpful, but then my 14-year-old son follows up with, "No, it doesn't. It means you're a bitch." My wife now turns on him. "You're saying I'm a bitch?" she says. "No," says my 14-year-old. "He's saying you're a bitch." And then follows a brief but heated conversation where my 14-year-old digs himself a hole so deep he'll still be in it after lockdown is finished, while my daughter tries, unsuccessfully, to sneak out between them. All ends up with my 14-year-old having his tech privileges taken away for the rest of the week for use of the word bitch. My 7-year-old banned from going anywhere with me for the foreseeable future, and, somehow, my 11-year-old daughter getting a telling off for lying. My wife then googled Karen and got in a foul mood that anyone could think that she could possibly be one. I kept quiet even though she had spent nearly an hour on the phone the day before asking to speak to the manager of our local supermarket to complain about the quality of the substitutions from the food delivery. I tucked my 7-year-old in tonight, gave him a big hug and said, "Don't worry, Daddy's in more trouble than you are. Mummy will be fine." My wife then came in to give him a good night kiss. What did the little fucker say? "Night, Karen." FML. TL doctor, I said, "For fuck's sake, Karen," in front of my son, and he now keeps saying it to his mum. You really need to bail your 14 years old out. He was just answering the question. FFSK, don't leave him hanging. Yeah, I was thinking the exact same. She wanted an explanation, she got one. Don't shoot the messenger. Why was your 14-year-old punished? A Karen has to Karen, duh. Well, ops history provided an interesting rabbit hole to go down. And the Cliff Notes version? Should we get out our pitchforks? Your fate was sealed years ago when you married a Karen. No Karen thinks they are a Karen. The end killed me, night Karen. Today I fucked up by not using deodorant for 6 months. For the largest part of my life, I have been using spray deodorants. It's the first thing I ever used, and I have never had a reason to switch to a stick type. Right before last Christmas, I was beginning to run out of deodorant. The one I use is rather expensive, at least by my standards, so I put it on my wish list for Christmas. Christmas comes around, and I was happy to pack up a new deodorant. There was, however, a catch. This one was a stick type of deodorant, as the ones who bought the present couldn't find the spray version. I had never tried a stick type before, but I didn't care enough to replace it. I quickly learned that it didn't smell as much. The smell was much thinner. I just shrugged it off, because it seemed obvious that a solid deodorant wouldn't smell as much as a liquefied one. Months went by. I used the deodorant every day. I no longer smelled as much as before, but nobody ever commented it, so I never gave it much thought. What was raising questions in my mind though, was that I didn't have to push the bottom up once. Keep in mind this was 6 months after I had been using it every single day. Either something wasn't right, or I was going to be stuck with this deodorant, that didn't smell as much as the other, forever. So, I went on to inspect the stick. I never had to remove any cap, so maybe there was one? It would have to be pretty transparent, but I checked anyways. Pushed the bottom up, and there was a ledge. I tried to pull the thing off, but it wouldn't move. I was afraid I would break the entire stick, so I gave up trying. It was the same color as the rest of the stick, so it made sense if it was just a part of the mold. There wasn't a cap after all then. Except, what if I twisted it? And so I did. Slowly applied pressure, and slowly air bubbles started to appear under the surface of the stick, and bop. The cap was off. I was shocked. I realized I had not been using a deodorant, but a plastic cap, for 6 months. It is amazing nobody has noticed any smell. TL Doctor, today I fucked up by not removing the transparent cap on my stick deodorant, and therefore using the cap as a deodorant for 6 months. Edit, link to a video of the deodorant and the cap. Trust me, my girlfriend and my family has confirmed I haven't smelled. Maybe I lack the gene everyone is talking about, or this is a mystery. Video link, credit to you /QWERTY1134. Kind of reminds me of buying a new cell phone and having a hard time hearing anything. Turns out there was a thin protective film over the surface including the speaker. My mom called me once and kept complaining that she was having trouble hearing me. After the call, I got a rather sheepish text from her that the phone had been upside down. They noticed, and didn't say anything. Now they will notice you don't stink, and silently appreciate that you figured your personal hygiene out. Osh, I hope this isn't the case. As the ones who bought the present couldn't find the spray version, I'd wager they got the stick one on purpose because spray deodorant is usually overwhelmingly strong smelling and they were sick of it. Their plan worked a little too well. Today? You've been fucking up 6 months in a row.